Donald Trump was saying yesterday to the New York Times, it's not about law. He says he doesn't believe in international law. It is his own morality that determines what he wants to do.
We begin our news on the foreign scene, as President Donald Trump has said there could be more strikes by the U.S. in Nigeria if Christians are killed in this African nation, even as Nigeria has previously denied that Christians here are subjected to systematic persecution. Trump's comments in an interview with the New York Times were published on the newspaper's website on Thursday. Trump made the remarks when asked about Washington's Christmas Day military strike in Nigeria. The U.S. military said at the time it carried out a strike against Islamic State militants in northwest Nigeria at the request of Nigeria's government. Well, Nigeria said then that the strike was a joint operation targeting terrorists and had nothing to do with a particular religion. I quote, "I'd love to make it a one-time strike, but if they continue to kill Christians, it will be a many-time strike," end of quote. And this was what Donald Trump had to say. When asked about his own African advisor having said that Islamic State and Boko Haram militants were killing more Muslims than Christians, Trump responded, and I quote, "I think that Muslims are being killed also in Nigeria, but it's mostly Christians," end of quote. Trump, in late October, began warning that Christianity faces an existential threat in Nigeria and threatened to militarily intervene in the West African country over what he says is its failure to stop violence targeting Christian communities. National Chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Senator David Mark, has said the party is reviewing its constitution to ensure it reflects present realities, meets future challenges, and aligns with global best practices in Democratic Party administration. Mark, who spoke at the inauguration of a 22-member ADC Constitution Review Committee in Abuja yesterday, explained that the exercise was not about changing principles, but about strengthening them. The former president of the Senate directed the committee to thoroughly review the existing ADC constitution and identify areas requiring amendment, clarification, or updating. He said the exercise aimed to ensure clarity, fairness, inclusiveness, and accountability in the party's structures and processes. Well, now to some cheery news. President Bola Tinubu has praised corporate Nigeria, citizens and other stakeholders in the Nigerian capital market for surpassing the 100 trillion naira milestone on the Nigerian exchange. Tinubu described this record achievement as an inspiration for the investing public operating in the money and capital markets. He urged Nigerians to deepen their investments in the local economy, assuring that 2026 as a year will yield even greater returns as his administration's economic reforms continue to deliver stronger outcomes. With the Nigerian exchange crossing the historic 100 trillion naira market capitalization mark, the country is witnessing the birth of a new economic reality and rejuvenation. Now, our final story this morning, as Nigeria's democracy is facing a critical and time-sensitive threat as the Senate remains on recess despite the urgent need to pass the 2025 electoral bill. Civil society organizations and pro-democracy advocates are raising an alarm and calling on Senate President Godswill Akpabio to immediately reconvene the Senate and prioritize the passage of this essential legislation. Under the current Electoral Act, the Independent National Electoral Commission is mandated to issue the notice of election 1 year before the scheduled date. Now, if the amendment bill is not passed before the notice is released, INEC will be legally compelled to conduct Nigeria's next general elections under the outdated 2022 framework. This would compromise urgently needed reforms and undermine public trust in the electoral process. The 2025 electoral bill contains some of the most transformative electoral provisions Nigeria has seen in recent years, including the early release of INEC funding for timely preparation, mandatory audited accounts by INEC, the NIN requirement for voter registration to ensure a cleaner voter register, clear election timelines, the introduction of early voting, and expanding voting rights for inmates.
Now, the ADC will say it's going to review its constitution to allow for inclusion. There are persons who are coming to join the party. I'm not very familiar with the ADC constitution, but there may be clauses there that may not allow people who are joining at this moment. So they will need to review that 22-member constitution. We need to review the constitution to, remove hurdles, since the party is trying to bring in as many people as possible. That's what I imagine may be the case. But a political party can accommodate all shades of interest. And ADC, of course, is an evolving party in terms of, its recent circumstances. You talked about the NGS, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, doing about 100 trillion. Well, congratulations to Mr. Kwaranga, who is the chairman of the NGS, and also to Mr. Kukuola, who is the managing director of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now the stock exchange is doing well. Reuters has reported that again and again, and we're excited. In the statement by the presidency, however, they were saying, the Nigerian Stock Exchange has even done better than the S&P 500. Well, I think that's an error. How? The S&P 500 did very well throughout 2025. It's still doing very well in 2026 because of AI. But if you say we're doing better than our peers in the emerging markets,
share this video, guys.
Maybe, okay. FTC, SE 100 in the UK, maybe, but not S&P 500. But the bigger challenge here is that the government of the day has tried to link everything in the economy at the microeconomic level, at the macroeconomic level, to the stock exchange doing well. No, there's also a caveat there. Why? Because it's people who invest in the stock exchange that will benefit. Investors, both local and foreign. And then, of course, if you are not on the stock exchange, you are not going to benefit. The 100 trillion naira, market capitalization is not going to come to you. The third caveat is that those who are very familiar with the subject say this is as a result of devaluation, and also that's the valuation of the naira, massive devaluation of the naira, and also asset valuation that now makes the stock market of Nigeria to be doing very well. But as an ordinary man in Nigeria, I ask the question, yes, the stock market can do very well. I've congratulated Kwaranga and Kukuola. How about ordinary people, those of us who are not on the stock exchange? The cost of production has gone up. Manufacturing is heavily inflicted. Interest rate is so high. They are quoting foreign reserve. What is the business of the man who wants to buy yam and tomato with foreign reserve? Inflation, they say, is 14.45% as of November 2025, and it will go down to 10% or below by the end of 2026. Those are figures. Now, when we begin to have a proper alignment between monetary policy tightening and fiscal policy, and that gets to the ordinary people, then we can join the government in celebrating. Otherwise, that celebration does not quite get to us. There's one other issue, passage of the electoral bill. Very quickly on that. Yes, it's good that the Senate of the Federal Republic, the National Assembly, wants to make it a priority. And it is to prevent the 2018 situation when the Buhari administration said ahead of the 2019 general elections, we could not reform the electoral process because it was too close. They have enough window. And some of the issues that you listed, those are not even the major issues. The major issue is about the credibility of the process itself, the independence of INEC, the technology that they say they are using working, voter registration, which is continuous, being effective, and then the operation of INEC, and then most of all, the behavior of the professional political class in Nigeria, because politicians are the problem. Just as the National Assembly is talking about electoral bill, coming up with electoral reform, moving beyond the electoral 2022, the politicians are working actively to see how they can sabotage that process for their own selfish interests. Can we all come together and build democracy in this country so that we'll stop using the expression, Nigerian democracy is putative, Nigerian democracy is evolving. It cannot keep evolving forever. We must have benchmarks in terms of achievements.
This video. Do well to share this video so that others can see. Drop your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to share. More days, more hope. Peace and love, guys.